369. Got it. I got it, Liz. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to our service. So good to see you all.
You may notice we have a few different camera angles this evening. Those are real, those are live. So we are going to make sure our friends who are in the sanctuary have their sound set up before we will hear from them.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's so wonderful to have these different views and perspectives tonight, as always. And we're just going to fill some time until Rabbi Sisson.
We're going to wait a moment.
Great.
Get things organized, welcome people into the Zoom room, but it's good to see all of you.
Rabbi Sisson, this reminds me of our first service in the new building when we didn't know how anything worked. He can't hear me.
So I'm going to relate that to him.
Thank you.
Rabbi Sapphire said this reminds her of the first service in the new building when you didn't know anything worked.
So we're just waiting for Stephen to begin. All right. I am told we can begin. So let us begin, and then I'll explain what is new this week. But Cantor Zell, will you lead us in song? Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes, great. It is good to see all of you. It is a little unusual to be standing in our sanctuary. One, because for the first time in 3 months, I am not alone in the sanctuary. I am with Cantor Suffren and Rabbi Sherman, and a lot of help. Victor is here as well on the piano. And we're thrilled, but what we just realized is we can't hear Cantor Zell, who is at home quarantining in preparation for her wedding next week. And we can't hear Rabbi Sapphire, who's at home as well. So we're going to try to communicate, but it's really just good to be in the sanctuary and seeing you on Zoom, despite the complexities. So I just want to say how good it is to be here. And I want to thank Stephen and Emily and Devin and Max, all who are here for making this possible. I also want to thank my clergy colleagues. For this week, I finally took a couple of days off to reflect and think. And this was a week that was momentous in some ways because people went outside again. So just give me a thumbs up if you felt like it was kind of phase 2 entered into our lives. Some went outside and protested in Franklin Park and Nubian Square, in Newton or Needham, or in the heart of Wellesley. This week, we celebrated our first bar mitzvah in the sanctuary, where 12 people, all in masks, gathered and listened and rejoiced together. This week, some stores opened, some of our high school students graduated, even if in cars, and I witnessed lots of newly groomed dogs strutting down the streets with their freshly primped owners. And then this week, I also noticed, unfortunately, at times, a new bitterness in society, with some people quickly judging others' behaviors that all of this openness could suddenly bring. And so, of course, I asked myself the question, why? Why a bitterness as our society opens up? One might think the opposite would occur. And I read an interesting article that explained two compelling reasons that I'd like to share with you. It's that sometimes we get angry at each other for all the right reasons. This is the anger of protest that we see in our society. We see something wrong and we get angry and we want to fix it. It may be for Black Lives Matter, or it may be something as simple as seeing a young man in the supermarket, as I did, who is getting a little too close, and he's wearing a mask around his chin. And I wanted to say, what are you doing? Put the mask on over your mouth, your nose. You're jeopardizing the health of others. That's the anger of protest, of tikkun olam. But there's another kind of anger that we're seeing in our society. It's not the anger of protest. It's an anger that's actually dangerous to our souls. It's that when things open up and we see people making other decisions, sometimes we get angry not out of the anger of protest, but we get angry because they're doing something that we'd actually like to do ourselves. For instance, they're going to get a haircut, something we may want, but we're not yet comfortable doing, which reminds us of all that we have lost in the world. And so we get angry, a negative anger that doesn't fix the world, but actually helps break it. And I want us to be aware of these two senses of anger, because I think Shabbat is actually the answer. Shabbat takes us out of that place of negatively judging others and reminding us that we're in the best place that we could possibly be. That's Shabbat. That wherever you are, whether you're in your living room, outside, your dining room, or in the sanctuary, there is no better place in the entire world for the next 45 or 50 minutes than to be right here on Zoom. That's Shabbat. And by removing that sense of wanting to be anywhere else and feeling the joy of being fully present, you can actually gain strength for the work week and the holy work of protest that remains ahead. You see, phase 2 is only phase 2. We're not there yet. We have work to do. We've got love to bring to our world. And so we need Shabbat. So before we begin, I just want to say to Jody and to Philip and to Victor, I am so glad we are here. I'm behind plexiglass about 20 feet from Jody. She's behind plexiglass. Philip's behind plexiglass 20 feet away, but we can see each other. We can hear each other. Victor is in a mask playing at the piano. We're protecting ourselves and our community. And yet at the same time, we are here to sing, to rejoice in joy and love and wholeness, to celebrate Shabbat with you. I can't think of a better place to be. So let's begin.
And we begin with Shalom Aleichem, peace be to you. I hope you'll all join with us. How good to hear Victor. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim,
HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ruachem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Barchuni.
Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Rabbi Sapphire, will you invite our candle lighters this week?
Yes, and I just want to mention that our Torah portion for this week, B'ha'alotecha, we hear of the mounting of the lights of the menorah. And I would love to mention these board members who join us this evening: Bob Schechter, Julie Kreis, Liz Suneby, Tony Starr, and Neil Goldberg with their families lift us up with their leadership and their gifts. And I want to thank them for their service to our community as they finish their last few weeks as our temple board members. So we invite them this evening to light our Shabbat lights.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'adlik shel Shabbat.
Amen. Now that we've welcomed Shabbat into our hearts and souls, we continue with the words of Baruch Hu. And if you're able and you'd like to rise, please do. If not, we invite you to sit intentionally, placing your feet firmly on the ground or back straight as we begin the worship service together.
We invite you to place your screen in gallery mode.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. La 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 Ya la 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 la.
So let's all be seated once again, and you may have noticed your screen change. We invite you to return back to gallery view so that you can see the faces of our community. And amidst all of the newness of the sanctuary, for me, I forgot to just ask people to wish each other a Shabbat Shalom, Zoom style. So if we can just greet each other, Shabbat Shalom. It's great to see all of you as we continue our service together. Rabbi.
So we continue with the words of Ahavat Olam, a prayer giving gratitude of expressing our love and thanks to God for the gift of Torah, the gift of the morals of everyday living, the gift of living in the pursuit of justice. And so let us join together with Cantor Zell.
Holler, we can respond here.
So we continue with word of Shema.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
So now let's continue by reading the prayer that we've been reading together for hope during this time of pandemic. If you'll join with me, and for the first time, everyone in this room can join with me as well, and I'll hear the voices of our community. We are frightened, God, worried for our loved ones, worried for our world, helpless and confused. We turn to you seeking comfort, faith, and hope. Teach us, God, to turn our panic into patience and our fear into acts of kindness and support. Our strong must watch out for our weak. Our young must take care of our old. Help each one of us to do our part to halt the spread of this virus. Send strength and courage to the doctors and nurses in the front lines of this battle. Fortify them with the full force of their healing powers. Send wisdom and insight to the scientists working day and night across the world to discover healing treatments. Bless their efforts, God. Fill our leaders with the wisdom and the courage to choose wisely and act quickly. Help us, God, to see that we are one world, one people, who will rise above this pandemic together. Send us health, God. Watch over us. Grace us with your love. Bless us with your healing light. Hear us, God. Heal us, God. Amen.
Join together.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Yishalom.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Hashkivenu,
And understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Let there be love.
Let
Be love.
and understanding among us. Peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Once more, let there be love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter
From life's storms.
And so if you're able, once again, we rise or sit intentionally for the tefillah. Let's open so that we may declare your praise.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your joy. Yalalai, lai, lai, 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 yalalai, lai, lai.
Let's continue independently with a moment of meditation, expressing our gratitude.
So let us join together before we offer a prayer of peace. We offer together a prayer of courage and consolation. Let's join together. Holy One of blessing, grant us the will to stand firm in the face of evil and hostility, not to be silent or afraid, to work diligently and faithfully to banish wickedness from the earth. Holy One of blessing, grant us the courage and resolve to speak when there is hatred, to act when there is confusion, to join with others in building a world of safety, understanding, and acceptance. Because there is hate, dear God, help us heal our fractured and broken world. Because there is fear, dear God, grant courage and faith to those in need. Because there is pain, dear God, bring healing to the shattered and wounded. Because there is hope, dear God, teach us to be a force for justice and kindness. Because there is love, dear God, help us to be a beacon of light and compassion. As it is written, be strong and let your heart have courage. Depart from evil, do good, seek peace, and pursue.
it. Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Once again, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. B'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
And Rabbi Sherman, can we open up the chat room for Misha Berach? For at this time, we pray for peace for those individuals in need of healing of body, of soul, of mind. And we invite you, since we can't speak aloud from the Zoom room, to type their names into the chat room below, and then we'll join together in prayer. And so now let's join together. We add to this list of names all of those suffering from COVID-19. thousands across our nation and our world. Let's join together.
מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And of course, as you well know, each Shabbat, we also thank God for the sacred moments we've shared during this past week. And so first, I want to acknowledge birthdays. If you celebrated a birthday during this past week, will you raise your hand? And I want to acknowledge Sherry Kassir, one of the leaders of our Racial Justice Initiative, who celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday. How about anniversaries? This is a season of weddings. Happy anniversary to many of you. And I also want to acknowledge out loud, because they emailed me, Joan and Arthur Priver are celebrating their 54th anniversary, and Blanche and Vic Dietz are celebrating their 49th anniversary. But I see that many people are raising hands, and some may
Rabbi, I see your parents.
That is
waving their
true.
hands.
They are celebrating their anniversary of 58 years. So mazel tov, mazel tov. Thank you, Rabbi Sherman. How about, let's see, we did birthdays and anniversaries, the gift of new life, because I know that Skylar Jade was born just this morning, the granddaughter of Marcy and Marvin Davidson. So they are now Bubby and Zayda, and some mazel tov to you. I also want to acknowledge this time of year the graduates and maybe people who retired, because I was on the phone with Archie LaSalle, who's one of our Shabbat regulars, and he mentioned that he just retired after teaching since 1964. So Archie, wherever you are, mazel tov, and to anyone else retiring, especially from the field of education. For health, for a lot of different reasons, for celebration, let us give thanks with the words of Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Thank you, Cantor. So I appreciate Rabbi Sapphire, who will be delivering the sermon this evening. Here in the sanctuary, Rabbi Sherman and I are on laptops, and so you can't see the plexiglass that surrounds us. Cantor Suffren is being seen by the synagogue camera, and so you can kind of see the plexiglass in front of her. But I think we're all going to leave the sanctuary where we can actually hear more clearly Rabbi Sapphire's sermon. So don't take it personally, Rabbi Sapphire. We're listening to every word. So please teach
That
us.
means I have, I guess, 1 minute that I can say whatever I want and they won't hear me. Just kidding. Thank you so much, Rabbi Sisseline. It's good to see everyone. So lately, I have been feeling impatient. Real tough feelings of impatience. Maybe you have felt this way too. How many more days can I wait until my children return to school or camp or a childcare program? How much longer can we go without seeing or hugging our extended family? Visiting dear friends face to face, attending to an aging parent in person. Some of us are waiting for the right opportunity to have a medical procedure, to see a specialist in person, to check out some pain that we are feeling. Some of us are waiting to reopen our businesses or places of work to maintain our livelihood. And others wait to experience joy, to celebrate a simcha or a life cycle event. And then there's the so-called littler things that test our patience. We are waiting to get back to the gym or to get a haircut. We even wait in line at the grocery store. I get impatient in just the few minutes a day that I have to wear a mask, for it's not long before it starts to bother me. There's a famous psychological experiment that tests children's ability to delay the fulfillment of their desires. You may know it. Children are offered a marshmallow, but told that they can only have a second one if they wait for 15 minutes. And most children, many adults, can't do it. Patience is not just the ability to wait for something. It's the ability to endure discomfort. In English, to be patient is related to the noun being a patient, a person who suffers from pain. In Hebrew, the word patience is savlanut, from the root sovel, literally meaning to bear a burden. In this week's Torah portion, Ba'alotecha, the Israelites are wandering. At this point, they are on the move for 3 straight days. And that's when they start to grumble, complaining bitterly. The text literally says that something gathers up inside of them and they cannot push away this feeling. This craving for what they don't have is so strong that they weep as they cry out. If only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish, the cucumbers, the melons that we used to eat in Egypt. We should have never left. Oy. As if complaining and grumbling aren't bad enough, in their current discomfort, they idealize and glorify the suffering of the past, instead of aspiring towards the promise of the future. Their current discomfort makes them think that it's worse than any discomfort they've ever felt. Let me remind you that the Israelites are not dying here in the deserts of Sinai and Paran. God provides them with water from dry places and manna from the heavens. And the Torah notes from a different perspective that the manna was like coriander seed, the color of a precious stone. In other words, it was rich, but the Israelites couldn't see it. Despite having the basic necessities, they say, Nafshenu yevesha. Our beings are parched. Nachmanides describes this as an emotional state of feeling dried out by the many different cravings of their souls. Even though they have physically what they need, emotionally, they crave more comfort, security, and certainty. We can not only relate, but we must acknowledge the validity of these feelings. There's nothing wrong with feeling uncomfortable and wishing that it weren't so. The problem lies in what we do with that. For the Israelites, they were ready to turn back to Egypt. God thought, this is not how it's supposed to be. So God punishes the Israelites and scolds them. I imagine God saying something like this: you Israelites need to be a little more comfortable with discomfort. For some discomfort is sacred. Some discomfort is productive for the sake of something beyond yourselves. Sometimes you need to experience uncertainty and inconvenience, and yes, longing and loss and discomfort in order to reach the promised land. This is not the purpose of discomfort, and I, God, did not cause it, but you must stay the course and make something of it. You may not reach that promised land yourself, but in order for us to get there as a people, we need to keep moving forward one step at a time and act as a holy community. In life, and especially today, we are challenged by many different kinds of discomfort. Just this week, I was speaking to a family in our congregation, two parents who are both essential workers, serving a community of adults with disabilities, some of whom have had COVID-19. Their care facility has shifted from a day program to a residential program, which means a few things for them. One, by doing their jobs, they put themselves and their family at risk. And two, family life is about as uncomfortable as it gets. Working long hours in a stressful environment and then quarantining away from their young child, who they only see on weekends or alternating weeks. It's emotionally taxing and lonely. But they told me, this is what we have chosen to do, as we view nothing more important than preserving the well-being of those we love and serve. They have chosen to live with discomfort for 3 months already, and they admit that their situation may not change in 2020. I feel for them, and I'm grateful and I'm proud of their choice. I believe it is a holy one. And it makes me think, they can't be the only ones, or our essential workers in the least can't be the only ones who are asked to bear the burden of this pandemic. It is up to every single one of us as well. It takes each of us becoming a little more comfortable with the discomforts I mentioned as I began. Wearing a mask, rearing our children in a different way, distancing from loved ones, putting off things we may want to do, sometimes delaying things we may feel the need to do. Even though we can't always directly see why, these are the discomforts that require patience in order to take part in doing what is best for others. Being responsible for the whole community and contributing to the greater good of all has always been one of our highest Jewish values. In this way, it is also our responsibility to ask, what is the reason for my discomfort? Will enduring my discomfort further a sacred purpose? Will enduring my discomfort protect the well-being of another or potentially save their life? Will tolerating my discomfort right an injustice in our world? How we choose to respond when we feel this discomfort? We have seen how some discomfort requires patience, but we know all too well how some discomfort demands action. For some things can't wait. Justice cannot wait when people's lives are at stake. In the past few weeks, we have asked, how long will it take for our Black brothers and sisters to feel valued and secure in our land? When will justice be right for all peoples? The time is now, and the urgency is real. We have a few community organizers among us who have been trained to create positive change. And we would say, positive change cannot occur without agitation. We have to feel the deep rumblings of injustice and unfairness in our souls to be motivated to act. The past few nights, I have tuned in to a virtual town hall titled, "Where Do We Go From Here?" hosted by Oprah Winfrey and a number of community leaders, such as Ibram Kendi, Stacey Abrams, and Bishop William Barber. The program began to air on Wednesday night following the funeral of George Floyd. Oprah started, "We can't even begin to make change before we acknowledge the hurt we've all seen and felt. The family that is our country, I believe, can't move forward without calling out this pain. We find our nation on a precipice, a true tipping point. Is this the moment that will finally change our country? Where people will recognize systemic racism for the problem and the evil that it is? In other words, this is an important moment to do something with our discomfort. Each one of us must play a role, taking part in a movement of anti-racism. Remember how I mentioned that the Hebrew word for patience is savlanut, meaning to bear a burden? It can also mean to feel the weight of responsibility. I am so grateful for our Racial Justice Initiative for creating many opportunities to help us own the responsibility to call out injustice and facilitate change. When it comes to living day after a long day in a pandemic, it is easy, rightfully so, to become impatient. May our perspective shift from thinking only of our own desires to remembering our sacred responsibility to care for others at this time, even if it means enduring our own discomfort. May our impatience lead us to do what is right, just, safe, and sacred. And let us proudly say, that was really hard, but my choices gave someone else life. May we set our sights on the promised land of health, security, and blessing. May this be God's will.
Can you hear that? Thank you for those inspiring words, and Rabbi Sapphire for bringing these inspiring words by Carrie Newcomer to my attention. I'd like to share this with you now. You can do this hard thing. You can do this hard thing. It's not easy, I know, but I believe that it's so. You can do this hard thing. Late at night I called and you answered the phone. The worst, it had happened, and I did not want to be alone. You quietly listened. You said, we'll see this through. You can do this hard thing. You can do this hard thing. It's not easy, I know, but I believe that it's so. You can do this hard hard times. Hearts hung like laundry on backyard clotheslines. Impossible just takes a little more time. From the muddy ground comes a green volunteer. In a place we thought barren, new life appears. Morning will come whistling some comforting tune for you. You can do this hard thing. You can do this hard thing. It's not easy, I know, but I believe that it's so. You can do this hard thing. You can do this hard thing. You can do this hard thing. It's not easy, I know, but I believe that it's so. You can do this hard thing.
And of course, our final prayer is words of Mourner's Kaddish, and we thank God for all of those lives who help lead us to this day, but are no longer physically present on this earth. And we especially call to mind those relatives of members of our community who have passed during the past 30 days. Barbara Waldorf Abraham, Carol Blumenthal, Paul Cateman, Richard Kleinberg, Eugene Cohen, Francis Leibowitz, Joseph Roby, and Sandy Solon. We also think of Morris Birnbaum, who died at this season in years past, Jerome Gross, Cantor Suffren.
And Rabbi, I'd like to add the names of Paul and Bobby Goldberg, parents of Neil.
If others would type the names of the individuals they're remembering in the chat room. And then if the mourners in our midst would rise, meaning if you're observing a yurt site or have lost an immediate family member in the past 30 days or a parent during the past 11 months, so that we can acknowledge you as mourners in our midst. And then if you'll join with our clergy in the sanctuary in reciting these words. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayeh d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach le'olam olamei olamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei t'kusha b'richu le'ela mincho berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran mi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shamayim v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'bromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Rabbi, announcements?
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. A few announcements before we conclude. Join us tomorrow for 10 a.m. Torah study. We also have a special program in the middle of the day tomorrow at 1 o'clock, a short film screening called Operation Grandma with our sister congregation Ohel Avraham in Haifa. So you can register for that. We will conclude our Shabbat day in 2 ways. One at 6:30 with our community Havdalah that we've held every week. This week will be held by Cantor Zell. And at 6 o'clock in the TBE parking lot, our Havaya teen community will be hosting a very special restorative justice Havdalah. You need to register in order to attend in person. It is open to all, but please make sure you register, as we are trying to make sure all of our young people are able to attend. Of course, you can join on Zoom as well. Monday, June 15th, thanks so much to our Racial Justice Initiative. We will finally hear about the Every Voice, Every Vote campaign that will be launched as we support our congregations and Reform Jews across the country in voter mobilization for this fall. So we hope that you will join us for this very important event. And Thursday, we will continue our Comfort and Care community hosting a tea for congregants who have loved ones in assisted living facilities.
Before we conclude, I just want to say next week, I guess I'll be giving the sermon, but we have the Ufra for Cantor Zell and Josh. We're really excited. And then Cantor Zell can return to the sanctuary, and I'm putting you on notice for the 27th. I hope the sound you could hear over Zoom with the piano, but we're looking forward to hearing your voice with Jody and Victor. We'll have to add a few instruments. So I want to thank all of our tech folks at TBE for enabling us to kind of re-enter the building in a safe way. So my gratitude. Let us conclude with Kiddush. So hey, Cantor Suffren.
I have the Kiddush cup, but first I want to acknowledge, Victor, how wonderful to have you back in the sanctuary to hear your elegant playing. Please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotov v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron ma'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila Mikraye Kodesh, Zecher Etziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu Vachata, Giotanu Kidashta, Mikol Hamim, B'Shabbat Kodshecha, Be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim.
I'm surprised you didn't rush me.
And let's make motzi together. I want to see a challah. I see a challah at the Bloom's house.
There you go.
Excellent. Here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
All right, Bloom family, rip into that challah and take a bite. Here we go. That looks like a very good challah. Now we can say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh.
Yalla, la, 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 yalla, la. La, 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 la.
Shalom.
Everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Happy anniversary.
Shabbat shalom.
Good weekend.
Shabbat shalom, Mom and Dad.
Okay.
That's too bad. Well,
Hi, Sarah.
not too hard.
Judy.
Thank you.
Say goodbye.
Shabbat shalom, Zels.
Hey, Marcia.
Look at our rainbow column. Show the inside.
Kathy.
Bye.
Shalom, Oren.
Shalom.
Oh, good to see you.
Amanda, Shabbat shalom.
Hi, TV services.
Here you go, baby.
Hello, Tony and Kathy.
Those are beautiful.
Hey, David. Hi, Stephanie.
Yeah, I mean, out of school.
How do I pin them?
All right, you want to leave the meeting?
I see you, Mom and Dad.
Hi, Heidi.
Shabbat shalom.
Grandma and Poppy, can you wait? Okay, good. And then please call me. I love you.
Yeah, there's only 3 pages left.
Hi, Jay.
No, guys, that's enough. That's enough. No.
You're not using your broccoli? Why?
I don't think they're on anymore.
You got it.
Shabbat shalom.
Where? You both used candles the other day.
I like it holiday though. Like, well, you make that clean up this thing so I can go and shower. Let's do it. Remove this. Go like my new edit I made today.
Alexa, how much longer? I'm wearing 5 too, by the way.